I don't know. I don't believe that.
Good evening.
But that's
Welcome.
me.
Dennis and I are discussing about Mr. Trump, why he's being so nasty regarding Ron DeSantis, who beat his opponent by almost 20 points. And Trump in 2016, or whatever it was, won the state by 3 points. Ron DeSantis is much younger. He is not advocating any kind of confrontation with Trump. And I think, personally, that Trump is going to lose a lot of votes if he doesn't shut his mouth. He doesn't need to be confrontational. He doesn't need to be nasty and calling people names. There are how many millions? 72, 81 million people who voted for him. And they will vote for him again,
Excuse me.
which I believe, especially over Bite Me, but if he's going to be nasty, I don't think Trump is going to end up getting the nod towards re-election. If DeSantis decides to run for president, or other people decide to run for president. This is how Trump made it the last time. He was nasty to these people. He called them names. And I think people are very tired of it. It's like he's a little boy and he can't get his way, so he has to revolt.
So is that why you didn't wear a hat?
Yeah, that's why I didn't wear a hat.
So
Because
now,
I like your hat better.
Because now you're all pissed off at Trump.
No, I like your
Are
hat
you
better.
psychologically blaming Trump for the way the election turned out?
They are.
I'm
They are.
asking
Why-
if you are.
I think what happened on Tuesday night was to show that people in New York and people in Pennsylvania obviously like the crime. They like what's going on and destroying their cities.
No, I don't think that's it.
I do. Why
Oh,
why did
that's
Hochul
okay.
win? Why did Fetterman win?
You know why she won and he won? Because the majority of people don't care. You actually think that the people in New York that are going around beating up seniors or stealing or crashing, steal, I don't know, when they go in the stores and they wipe them out and stuff like that, shooting at each other in the streets, ambushing cops, all that stuff. You think that's because they care who's in office?
Yes.
No, I don't.
I think that
The only thing
if
they-
they wanted that to be changed, look,
I'm talking about the criminals now.
oh, the criminals don't give a damn.
Okay.
No, the criminals don't give a
How
damn.
many votes you think that is in New York?
I have no idea, Dennis.
I bet it's more that live in Connecticut.
Oh, sure. Because you have a lot more people that live in New York over Connecticut anyway. But that's why a lot of people fled New York. They're
Well,
tired of the crime.
Yeah.
They're tired of the high taxes. They're tired of a lot of things, of the Democrats, the way they run the state. But on the other side, the Democrats lost, I think it was either 3 or 5 seats in the Senate, major seats. One was,
Right now it's 49 to 48.
no,
in the Senate.
that's Senate.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Well,
go
that's
through
what
this
you just
again?
said. You just said Senate.
Congress, House. They lost,
Oh yeah, in the House they did.
yes. One was a major one. I think his name was Murphy or Murray, that he was a major player. He'd been the senior person there and he lost. So the New York did flip a number of states to Republicans, and I'm really glad. But what's his name? Zeldis?
I don't know.
Zeldin definitely deserved to win. Now, the big issue, which I think, first of all, I hate polls. I think polls should be illegal because they're wrong. They were mostly wrong. And the way they do it, Dennis, we're going to take a poll of 1,000 people and tell you what it is. That's not enough people. You need to poll 50,000 people if you want to get an ideal situation of what would be the numbers would be. Not all these little ridiculous polls.
I agree. But, you know...
Let's see what this is.
All right.
Hi, good evening. You're on.
Yes, I would like to know how did George Logan got his last name?
How they what?
How did George Logan got his last name if he came from Guatemala?
You know what? I have not heard. I've only read in the paper the local winners.
No, I know. I'm not talking. He lost anyway, but
He did
his
lose.
name is Logan, and I just would like to know how he got the last name Logan when he is Spanish.
Well, you know, I wouldn't surprise me the least bit that if they go into an area where they need the people's votes, if they can change it just a little to make the people think that they're from the same neighborhood kind of thing, then they'll do it. Nobody's going to complain.
What was it? What was Beto O'Rourke is not his real name.
No.
No, his name is George Logan, and he's a Republican, and his parents are from Guatemala, which they speak Spanish there, and his name is George Logan.
Well, I mean,
I'm just wondering where he got his last name from.
Whether
he's here in America, now he changed his name to Logan.
Well, that's not
disgusting.
uncommon.
Well, that's disgusting.
Well, if you're going to say that, then you're going to be saying that there's a lot of Italians that live in this country that...
No. I'm talking about Logan. I'm not talking about nobody else.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Alrighty.
And you know what's been happening now in New York and everything? It's because our former President Trump stated that if he could kill somebody and walk away with it, that's why things are happening now.
You really can't be serious.
I am serious.
So the man said...
I am serious.
Wait a minute, let me...
Yes, Trump can do anything he wants, and it's okay.
So Biden can't do anything he wants, though,
I'm
right?
talking about Trump.
Okay, so
Because
see,
it seems like Trump could do anything he wants, and it's okay.
There's
Come
a lot
on.
of there's a
Can
lot
you see
of people.
What's going on? Let's look at it. Have a good evening.
Yep. See, now that's a perfect case of somebody that doesn't have an open mind to anything. Nothing. I mean, the man says, I could kill somebody in New York and nobody would care. I could say that. I could say, I could get killed on Bank Street in New London, Connecticut, and nobody would care. So when I make that statement, now everybody's going to go out and commit crimes. Why'd you kill that guy? Oh, because Dennis said in New London he could die on Bank Street. Nobody would care. Does that even make any sense to you? Jesus.
anyway.
I need a new chair. My blood pressure cannot take this chair much longer.
Getting back, I think what everybody was saying was the number one issue was the economy and inflation.
It is still.
But they beat down the situation with abortion. Nobody, I don't care who you are, nobody is going to take away your right for abortion in the state of Connecticut, in New York, and Pennsylvania. I don't know a lot of the other states. I know a lot of people
some crazy rules.
don't want it. However, as a male, I'm not going to question whether the woman wants an abortion or not. What I will question is, what the frick is taking you longer than 15 weeks to decide if you want an abortion? Because if it goes past the first trimester, now you're committing murder.
Okay, but shouldn't you kind of take responsibility too? I mean,
of what?
You could have prevented the woman from getting pregnant.
Absolutely.
Now, when you talk about prevention for abortion, the number one person that should be responsible is the man.
Why?
Because the man, if he doesn't want to take a chance of having any kids and making it everything the way it is,
Okay.
you put a condom on.
Okay.
And
right.
you pray that that's going to work. If
Right.
that doesn't work, well, then that's an accident.
But
But it also falls on women, too.
thank you.
Women can take something before they have
They
sex.
could be on.
They can take the next day pill,
They
which
can.
for some is, you're already doing it wrong. You know what I mean.
I know. I
So-
know. Birth control pills or something. Why do there are so many, and don't get me wrong, please. There are so many women out there who all they want to do is have child after child after child because
Well,
they don't
yeah,
they
there
don't
is
want to
that-
work. They want to get free money, and they'll sleep with any Tom, Dick, or Harry.
That's very widely generalized there. You got to...
Go ask a lot of people.
I know what you're saying.
I've asked
is right.
a lot of people, who's your father? Well, it's different for all of these.
Yeah.
So, and we've discussed this before. However, what I'm against, and I'm pro-life, but I'm not going to make
I
it.
am too.
I am not going to make that decision for a woman. It's her body, her choice.
All right, so let me put this on you.
But, Dennis, after 15 weeks, if you're too damn stupid to realize you want an abortion and can't get it in the first 15 weeks,
What makes it different at 15 weeks?
you're in the first trimester.
Yeah, so up to that point, the
How
baby...
about the day
Wait a minute,
before the
up to
child
that
is
point,
born?
How about the day after the child is born? We
I-
got a lot of states will let
Infanticide.
you take the damn baby out, set it on a
And
tray, and decide if you want it or not.
infanticide.
I understand this. We really are on the same page.
I know
on
we
all
are.
this. But the way you're talking now to me, and to a lot of other people that believe the way you are believing, that for some reason that's not a viable human living being until 15 weeks.
I'm not understanding. What
Okay, you're
it's
saying
not a viable living human being.
no, but
for the first 15
but
weeks.
that's what you're saying. It's,
No. I'm not saying that. It's a viable human being even before 15 weeks.
Okay, so why? So what makes 15
because
weeks?
the country or whoever decided up to the 15 weeks.
But the bottom line is, it doesn't matter what anybody in this country decides. The fact is, whether you let it go 15 weeks, 26 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever, first you got to decide at what point is it at a human being. Because if you don't, and you believe from the first heartbeat, wait a minute, then you are committing murder.
Okay.
Just like you would if it was 8 months. So that,
What I'm saying though is, it's not up to me to decide. It's up to the woman. She's the one who has to carry it. It's her body, it's her choice. And that's what you see all over the United States with these women protesting the ban on abortion. Now, the Supreme Court was right.
Yeah.
They threw it back to the states.
Where it shouldn't
Where it
stayed.
should go, because the Supreme Court should throw a lot of things back to the states.
Because if you think about it, as it is now, I didn't know we were going to end up on this because I've been formulating a lot of paperwork on this.
We can go through your papers.
Well, no,
I
because
just
this
knew
is
that
only a
tonight.
fraction. This is only a fraction.
Okay.
You did this to me.
Again. Prevagen.
Yeah.
Well, to go back to my complaint.
Oh, okay, I know what I was
Okay.
going to say now.
First of all, from what I've been told and read and heard, Fetterman's never worked a day in his life.
All right, so take
He's
that.
a privileged
take that. I'm going to play devil's advocate
Okay.
because I'm having fun. Take that part about Fetterman out of the picture.
Okay.
He came from a wealthy family, never worked a day in his life, and he ran for the Senate. Okay, so next.
Okay, next, I don't think he's fit to serve. His mental capability from the stroke, he's not well enough yet, regardless of what his doctors say. I've treated enough people with strokes. Now, it depends, it always comes down to, if he's had trouble with his speech, he had a stroke on the left side of the brain. The The left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. The speech centers are on the left side of the brain. So that's obviously where he's having his problems. If it was a right-sided stroke that controls the left side of the body, I have never seen any problems.
Does it affect his thinking? Not trying to
It can.
to speak. I mean, it's
It
thinking
can.
like,
Well,
you know,
I mean,
well,
well,
this is black and this is white.
He's thinking, but he can't express it.
Okay. So if
Expressive
a
aphasia.
vote came up and he was the winning vote, and they said, well, should we? I'm going to go crazy. Say, should we send these missiles or not? He wouldn't be able to tell them yes or no.
I'm not even sure how, because during the only debate, he said, I'm for fracking. I'm for this. And then he turns around like, no, I don't want he had said he was against fracking. He was against anything in Pennsylvania. Well, Western Pennsylvania is a big fracking area. I think it's got coal.
Coal and fracking.
They want to totally do away with all this. What's so stupid is these people don't realize how they get their energy. They don't realize that all these EV cars have to be charged, and the charging stations are run on energy. They don't realize that our railway systems run on coal. What are you going to do? Replace coal? You're going to do what?
You can't. They have to, and you know.
But Biden said he's going to close all he wants to do away with coal.
Now, I wrote that down for a reason. Okay, a lot of the problems we're having now with the voting system, I really honestly believe is from early voting. Being able to send in a piece of paper and whatever when there's really nothing wrong with you. It's just being friggin' lazy. Okay, that being said, I found out from a source, I think they're pretty knowledgeable, that in Connecticut, you can do mail-in voting.
Mm-hmm.
But on the day of the vote, if you decide you don't like that candidate anymore, you can tell them, I want to change my mail-in vote instead.
But they would have to go down and get that vote, right? That ballot.
I don't know how that works, but
What happened to the question? I never heard anything about the question.
I voted against it.
Oh, I voted against it, but what was the result?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good point. Anybody out there know, please call in.
Because I didn't see it in the paper.
No.
I think it's, you know the other thing that bothers me? How come Connecticut can get their numbers out in a few hours? What takes these states so damn long that they can't get these votes? I like the way we vote in Connecticut. You mark the ballot, you take it, you slip it into a machine where it's counted. Am I right?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, I monitored one of those one time, long time ago.
How many miles back were you from the table?
How many what?
How many miles back were you from looking at what they were doing?
No, after everything was done, I walked
It was a joke.
3. And I was able to look at the back of the machine with the votes that were counted. What is wrong with the rest of these states that they can't do it that way? Do you remember back in 2000, what was it? When Al Gore and George Bush, the problem was with Florida. And I guess the Supreme Court decided that Bush had won. Al Gore was obviously upset. But Florida changed everything after that. Florida is one of the
strictest places you can vote.
But they get their votes out.
No, on what you're saying here with this, I just heard on the news before I came here that there's a couple states, Arizona, Nevada,
California,
that says it's going to take weeks before they
right.
can get the
Even
vote.
Alaska.
But like, and then on the way here, what's the guy's name on the radio?
Which one?
He's on
Wayne Allen Root?
Yeah, Wayne. So he says, how come a state like that has, I don't know, I think they said 700,000 votes or something like that, or less, takes them days and weeks to count these votes. In Florida, that has over 1 million people, over 7 million.
Number of million. They're like
I
3 or
think
4 or
it's
5 million.
Yeah, can do it in 3 hours.
Right.
Very good point.
It is a great
So
point.
you know where Wayne went with that. He thinks this whole thing has been a rerun of 2020. That it's all fixed, and it almost seems I can see where a conspiracy person could go down that road, because it makes sense.
Did you hear there was a story about a guy in Russia who admitted he interfered with the elections and he was going to continue to do it? How did they interfere with the
I don't know.
elections?
Well, it depends. You got to realize, from my understanding, that even though each state has these machines, you got to look at. Okay, we'll start with the machines. The machines are all made by probably a certain company. Where is that company? My understanding, from what I heard, and I could be wrong, folks, so please correct me. You
It's
can
not
be in a
Russia.
hurry and correct me. Soros is the guy behind these machines that were built for voting. The company where they count the votes is in Spain.
That I've heard.
And how are you going to know? I mean, common sense is the only way you're going to figure this. I want to admit something real quick about Biden and shutting down the coal mines. When people send in, when you send in your paper ballot, it may be 30, 60 days. Some places you can do it as early as 60 days before the vote. Okay, so you get at somebody like, say, Biden, and you vote for him. And then a week before the election, you find out all this stuff about him. And you say, well, I don't want to vote for him now. In a lot of states, you can't change your vote. It's in.
So why did
So-
you vote so early?
Yes, and,
But did
But-
you
but
also
this
know
isn't-
that happened
oh, I know it happens.
in 2020 because the media suppressed
Right.
the news on Hunter Biden?
Yep.
A lot of stuff came out just before. And all these people, if they had known it, they wouldn't have voted that way. So my question to you, those people, what were you in such a rush for? That's why we've always said it's election day,
But
not
don't-
election month, not election 2 months.
Okay, so
Wait.
explain to me this. You have a lot of people that voted ahead of time. They sent in their paper ballots and voted. And then before the election, stuff comes up for some of these candidates that the person would never have voted for them if they knew ahead of time.
Okay.
So that's already happened once. Why would you want to keep paper ballots going if you know that should be an incentive for you to wait till the very last moment to vote? Because at least then, if the story stays the same for 60 days, you have something to believe in.
Their answer is, I can't get out to vote.
That's
I can't-
bullshit. You
I
got 60
can't-
days to
I
get
don't
out to
have.
vote.
I'm telling you, I don't have a car. I can't get out to vote. I don't have an ID. I think I'm being voter suppressed. Stacey Abrams, she said today she was going to continue to run every time. It's like Martha Marks, 3 times is a charm. The people in Montville are so damn stupid
Hey,
to have
Don't be
voted
picking
that
on
way, to
Montville.
put that woman into office is amazing.
Well, it isn't just Montville.
No, Montville changed. Montville was for Republican. Now they changed.
How do you know? Would you read it?
That's what I had heard.
Well, I don't get that.
But I mean, Marks to get into. I hope you like. Don't be surprised if your taxes go up,
Oh, they can't go
especially
up.
in New London, if a lot of things change because she is very far left.
Oh, yeah.
And things could easily change. Did you
You
hear
don't-
what Lamont said?
No.
He wants to look into continuing the gas holiday into next year. He wants to see how much money we have.
Well, supposedly he took care of the whole freaking budget when he came into office, and now we have a $600 million surplus or
he
some
wants
shit.
to make sure there's enough money so he can fix the roads and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
How-
just remember, Dennis. Dennis, just remember. Gas today, I passed a few stations, $3.59, $3.69, right? Add 25 cents.
You know what? This whole gas thing now is people have forgotten what you paid for gas when Trump was in office.
Yeah.
That wasn't gas coming from some other country. That was coming from your own country.
That's right.
Okay? So now you have, oh man, I'm losing it.
Now you have.
No, I'm trying to take a breath here because it's making me crazy.
I think the one thing we have to hope, I mean, because you heard Biden say today,
Oh, I know what it was.
the question was about, what are you going to do about if the Republicans take over the House and they start inquiries about his son? He goes, never going to happen.
Even if it does happen, it isn't going to matter. Freaking Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, let 4 guys, military guys, die. And what was the big to-do from that? If you went down the
Benghazi
street,
thing?
yeah, if you went down the street right now and asked anybody, do you remember the Benghazi story?
They'll
They would
say no.
I don't know.
No, most of the people around here don't.
But she got away with it. How
She
many
did.
freaking things have they gotten away with and nobody cares? The Republicans have their own selves to blame for the way things turn
do.
out now. And the people of the country are to blame too. We were talking about the write-in ballots, okay? So just recently, a few days ago, maybe a week, like voting, I'll give them a week, Biden comes out and says he's going to close down all coal mines.
Right.
Now, what if you had 60 days to send in your vote ahead of time, and you live in Pennsylvania, and you did this, and then now you hear that he wants to close down all the coal mines, and you're a coal miner, and everybody in your family was a coal miner. You think you're going to still vote for the guy?
No, of course not.
Okay, so how many people voted for the Democrats the way they did, knowing that a Democratic president is going to put them all out of work, just like he did the pipeline people?
Same thing goes to Fetterman in Pennsylvania. He said he hated fracking. He was going to get. I would like to know if any of those people who work for the oil companies and do fracking, did they vote for him?
You'd be crazy. It's like I voted almost straight Republican. The one Democrat I voted for was Courtney. I didn't vote for him because he was a Democrat. I voted for him because whatever bad comes with him, the good part of him is that he's kept the sub-base and EB. Not just him, but a primary force in keeping in places here.
But do you really believe that even if he lost, that would not happen?
Well, it's a chance because
I don't believe that.
wait a minute, how come he had to fight other people, senators and congressmen and military people and whatever else, to keep them bases and workplace there? Somebody wanted to close them. So with the right people, as you can see in New London, with the right people in office, you can end up doing whatever you want to do. And if those places close down, these housings close down. And if these housings close down in New London, all 52 of them eventually, we're going to be even worse off than we ever dreamed we
Are
could
they
be.
really that many?
No, there's about 8 now. Minor Alexander's going to be the next 85 condo or apartment.
Right. That I knew.
All I'm saying is the writing, voting, and else you have a really good reason, and I'm talking maybe physical, being old, not being able to get somewhere, having 5 kids and you can't make it to vote because you got no one to watch your kids. Both parties or any party needs to take some of that money that they get and put it in a fund to where that is used to go and get people to vote. Even if they got to somehow take a machine to the person's house. Just some way that nobody can mess with what they voted.
Okay.
This is what they got to do. You can't just say all this stuff and then do nothing.
How about all the people? This goes on because I've seen it in nursing homes. When all those people cannot get out and vote, they get these absentee ballots, and the aides, the assistants, whomever. Can I help you fill that out?
Well, that's fine, but this is what you got to do to counter it. Is you got to have somebody from the government, a Republican, a Democrat, and whatever else parties that run. And a person from each one of them parties has got to go to that nursing home with the people that are filling out the paperwork for these people to make sure it's done right. They have to do that in nursing homes. They have to do that in senior housing, wherever.
All right, so what about the places, the states, that don't have voter ID laws? That you can just show up with your bill from the electric company. This is who I am.
Well, I always thought you needed two bills.
Maybe you need two bills, but I don't agree with that. You should have.
No,
everybody.
It doesn't need to be that way.
But you need to show your license in Connecticut
Or your state ID, your picture
or
on
a
it.
picture ID, whatever.
Anything with a picture on it. That's all. And if you live in a community where, you got 5 kids and you say, well, I can't get a state ID or whatever, or because they make it so friggin' hard. Worst case scenario, you call them up and you tell them, and these are all my ideas, folks. You call them up and you tell somebody in the state, hey, my name is such and such, I live in such and such, there's no way I can get my Connecticut state ID, because you got to go there for a license. Well, maybe not. And then they send somebody out there to take care of it with you, and you never have to leave your apartment. They got a record of you and your photo, you got a photo ID, boom.
I'm agreeing. Yeah, you have to show up with an ID. I really
And
do.
how many-
And then you're going to hear, voter suppression. That's bullshit.
I
in
don't
today's
quite
day.
understand
I don't
what they
understand
mean
that
by
too.
that.
By the way, you said a couple of weeks ago there was only 1.3 million people in Georgia and 1 million already voted.
Who said that?
You did.
I did?
Yes. You looked it up and you said, there's only 1.3 million people in Georgia.
Oh, yes, that's right.
They have over 2 million.
Okay, well, so what?
I don't know. I know, but the point was, wow. That means if that was true, how many people really that voted there shouldn't have been voting there at all?
Well, you heard New York, they wanted to let 800 illegal immigrants that were there at this particular time to vote.
Not in national elections, in state elections.
It shouldn't be any election.
I'm agreeing with you.
If it starts at state, then it's going to end up national.
No illegal should be allowed to vote. I don't
You know,
care
if
how long
anything-
you've been here.
If anything, if anything, the government wastes money on some pretty stupid stuff.
Oh, they do.
So they've got to set up something to where even if you're a legal alien, it could have it on your card, but you got to get a picture ID. And if it says you're illegal, they should put on the card that it says you're illegal. So if you tried to vote, they'd say, well, sorry, we can't accept this card. Doesn't have to be nasty. We just can't accept this card.
Changing subjects.
Yeah.
Did you read about the ethics situation in New London?
Yes, I did. I couldn't get. I thought I had some paperwork on it, but I don't think I was able to get it.
They were going to start reviewing because they have lost 3 members on the ethics board already now,
Yes.
and they want to know why.
Who wants to know why?
The ethics committee wants to know, and the
Which
council's
ethics
one of them in New London. What was the one that Mike wanted to get on?
The Ethics Committee in New London.
Okay. He brought up a problem with
Yes.
them. Well, there was something in the paper, I think, today about
There was
that.
I couldn't find it in the paper, but it was one on Whale's Tail. I was on that committee. I was on that committee for, God, it's got to be 10 years maybe or more. And an ethics committee is only good if the city that it's in follows the rules of the ethics board. Every city has to have an ethics board.
Does New London follow any rules?
No. Only if it benefits certain people.
Right.
They'll do it. We worked on this case for a year, pretty close to a year. People coming in, interviewing them, just like you'd see on friggin' Washington, D.C., something or other on TV. You know, and the people on the committee put their hearts into this. And the ethics committee, folks, is your last chance to actually fight City Hall. It doesn't have to be necessary. So this is where you go when you feel something unjust has been done to you and you want it settled. That's what basically an ethics board is. Now, the problem we ran into was it had to do with people of the city government. It had to do with past councilors, new councilors, mayor, and especially the city attorney. Now, the city attorney is the liaison to the ethics board. But in a case against the ethics board, if we're going against somebody in the city, he has to represent the city. And we're supposed to get a budget
right.
to get our own lawyer. That didn't happen to the very end. They were basically told by the city attorney that they didn't receive, because we sent out subpoenas to bring these people in to talk to them. Only 2 showed up. And they were told by the lawyer, because the lawyer sent us a letter saying he did this, that they don't have a case. Don't worry about it. Just ignore it.
So isn't it that subpoena like any other subpoena? If you violate it, you can get arrested or fined or anything? Nothing gets done in New London properly. What happened to the people who didn't abide by the subpoena?
Nothing.
Of course, because New London is corrupt.
Nothing. So KR, who was the chair, and myself, we had just said, well, we had enough of this. Because you go that long on a committee and you have nothing to show for it because the city government is fighting against you.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
that's the same thing.
They weren't going to let this go public. And the thing, it's not just them, because we voted on sending letters to all these different places with everything, showing them how to get to everything that happened in the year. We sent it to the day not that long ago, before the whole resigning thing started. Never published it. We sent it to Dave Collins, figuring, this has got to be a real juicy story for him, right? No comment. Everywhere we sent stuff to, no comment. We sent it to the State Board of Ethics. Connecticut State.
No
Nothing.
comment.
So, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to get any justice, folks. You're not. If you have a counselor or somebody that works for the city or something that involves somebody that's well known in New London, the hip place in the world to live and work, you might as well forget it because you ain't going to get no justice. You
know what's surprising? Our garbage pickup is on Fridays. And the garbage was picked up, and I saw the truck for the recyclables. It went on the opposite side of my street, so it goes down this way and normally would come back on my side. He never came back. And I left mine out. I saw a couple of neighbors down the street, they left theirs out. So on Monday, I think it was Monday. Yeah, it was, because I had to go out in the afternoon. I called up the Public Works. She told me to call the transfer station. I called the transfer station. I told them what happened. He never came back. I went out, and my wife told me, right after I went out, a truck came and picked up those recyclables. Yeah.
See? You can fight City Hall.
I'm not fighting. I just
no,
said...
you
I'm
exercise.
like, why didn't this guy come back?
Yeah, but
why did they waste the time? Now I call and I want these recyclables picked up. I paid my taxes.
But see, the difference is most people in New London
Would let it go
would just let it go.
until the following
And
week.
especially that are friends with everybody in the whole city system. You know, they've just said, but you called,
Yeah.
and they did something. And they didn't do it out of fear of you.
No, did they do it out of fear because the mayor lives on that street?
Well, maybe. But people are getting to the point where they're either afraid or they just don't care, or
Well, how about just fed up?
but when you're fed up, it's usually when you would want
Would
to
do
fight
something,
back
right.
and do something. But that doesn't happen, especially not here.
Because, well, normally you don't, like you said, you don't get any satisfaction in New London. I mean, rarely. I mean, we've got a council that is so bad, and the people keep voting for the same people every time.
You look at some of the, and this is referring to the people in the city not caring. You look at the boards and agencies that we have in New London, a lot of them. In the past, there wasn't too much squawk about it. People put in their, applications, and within a very reasonable time, they were notified whether they got on or not. They looked at, whether the person will be a good fit for whatever agency they're running, not their experience at it.
No,
They look to
right.
make sure they live here, pay taxes or whatever, okay? So now, with this council and the one before it, they're picking people that will tend to vote, I don't want
Only
to
a-
say vote, but will tend to go along with them.
They have no idea what's going
No,
on.
you got people that have been put on boards and agencies, and one was a nutritionist, and that's why they put her on the board, but she's never been to a meeting. And other than that, that was, I think the big thing, to get rid of somebody that had been on that board for way longer than 10 years, that was a very important piece of that board, that volunteered their time constantly. And his prize thing that he did in this city was keeping Williams Park nice. But there was people on the council that didn't like him. And, I can see that. But when you become a councilor, you got to take the crap that comes with
No,
it. You're not supposed to take somebody that's doing well for the city out of circulation because, well, maybe because they call you Ricky Martin. So what? You know the names I've been called in my lifetime? The names you've probably been called? Oh, well.
What do you think about what they want to do at Broad and Williams with that rotary?
I'm liking rotaries.
I love
At
rotaries.
first, I wasn't sure about them, but the one on Howard Street and Willits over by Murray's,
Right.
that works out very well.
It
And
does
that's
work.
with EB right there. So they're going to do another one up at the high school.
They want to, right.
Well, no, it's a done deal.
Oh, it's done?
Yeah, it's a done deal. The state's given $4 million. They're going to do Broad Street going up to, it's still Jefferson Avenue. They're going to do Jefferson Avenue, redo it,
Where in Jefferson?
up by the cemeteries.
Okay, so Jefferson and Broad.
Yeah, from Broad Street on Jefferson all the way down past the school, and then so far down Jefferson towards Coleman. And they're also going to go, where you take that right to go to Waterford in that same area. All right, some of that road's getting done too. Now, there were people who thought that was being done because the entrance to the school is on that street. I can't remember the name of the
I
street.
never can remember that. Chester, is it called?
I don't know, something like that. But they only did that because they were working on a part of the school to where they had
Right.
to block off from Jefferson.
Right.
I talked to one of the managers that was working there. I asked him if this was going to be the permanent way in and out, and he goes, no, I'll probably go back to this one, meaning Jefferson Avenue, because it's too congested. The
It
other way.
is.
But the Rotary it's a much smoother operation. It's continuous.
If people abide by it.
Yeah, and
I mean, because have you ever been on the Rotary on 85 at Salem?
Yes, I have.
Works out very well.
Yes. So they do work. And plus, you get rid of the lights, you get rid of the poles, you're not spending the money for electricity,
Right.
so forth and so on. But this one that's the one they already allowed for. This new one, which is going to be on November 10th, they're going to have a public hearing. Boy, does that sound strange for New London. They're going to actually have a public hearing on something.
Where?
At City Hall on the 3rd floor, chambers, City Council chambers, at 7 p.m., November 10th. Why don't you try to be there?
So what are they going to do?
They're going to tell everybody what they're going to do. They're going to put a Rotary at Broad and Williams
Okay.
in front of the park. Well, some people don't like the idea. So they're going to have a public hearing. It's going to be, this one here is going to cost, based upon a conceptual assessment, and the construction cost will be approximately $3,250,000, including construction, inspection services, and contingencies. The State Department of Transportation will reimburse 100% of the costs through its local transportation capital improvement program. The word here is reimburse. Now, when the state says they're going to reimburse you for something
No, I don't
where
believe
the
it.
people that run your city are telling you ahead of time that it's not going to cost you a penny, like the
Beware.
schools,
Beware.
that's only going to happen if you do everything that the state wants you to do by
That's-
their rules.
yeah. Now,
If,
are you?
for everyone you don't do, the city's going to pay that money. And, I think both of these are without a, usually when you get grant money like this, you have to put so much in too. But I don't think we have to put anything in. But we are anyways.
Are you in favor of that Rotary?
Yeah. But what I don't understand about that Rotary is I saw a picture. There used to be a Rotary there. And they took it out and put what you got now. Why? If it was so great, why did you remove it?
Well, do you ever see the old pictures of downtown New London? Old pictures.
Yeah.
And worked it well.
Yeah. You'd go down,
So
you can go down State Street,
Yeah,
do a U-E, and go back up State
that's
Street.
right. That's right. So
What time is that?
we got a few minutes.
We'll get into, if you want, in the future, about abortion again. And I will talk to you about, and I will have the backup for it, because a lot of it you can't show on TV here, that shows you what really goes on at different stages of an abortion.
I know
if-
what goes on at different stages of.
I'm talking about how they abort.
I know some of it. I do know some of it, and my mom was the head nurse practitioner for on Long Island for Long Island. Well, it wasn't at Long Island Jewish, but the next to it, and her specialty was OBGYN. She was the first nurse practitioner on Long Island in 1972, and Planned Parenthood, of course, they were all for abortions back then, and I'm a kid. I don't know much about it. You go by what you believe your parents and everything. They were also Democrats back then. So, from what I know now, I'm just, you know what? It's the same thing, not the same, but because I'm pro-life. But I talk to somebody and I read these novels by C.J. Box and all these activists that don't want to kill animals. We should not be eating meat and all this stuff like that. And it's amazing what the ignorance of these activists. They want to abolish hunting, maybe fishing. I don't know, certain things. I mean, we should be.
Fishing's in there too in certain
Okay.
areas.
But what they don't understand is that the animals and the way they breed, especially, and then in the winter, they would die of starvation if they didn't. If the
Well, there's
wasn't-
a lot of people in the country that come winter they're going to die of starvation. So should we just go out and kill them?
You're turning. Don't turn this around like that.
Why not?
This.
I read a study recently.
Because we don't eat people. This is
do you-
is food. I mean, a lot of people, hunters, will kill the elks or mice, bison, whomever, and they give. They
understand
donate
what
the
you said.
food. People go into a store and they look at the hamburger, they look at the steaks, and
Yeah,
they just
I
pick
get
up
that.
what they want. They have no idea where it comes from.
But there's two sides to it. There's
There's
sides
always
to
two
everything.
sides. I
so-
understand
So
that.
you have people. in
But
the
I'm not
cold-
going to
wait
eat
minute.
a hamburger made out of plants.
Okay, listen. You have people that live in areas where they'll go and they'll take what they need, or if a lot of them are starving, they may go in and take more than they need, but they're taking them to give it to people
Right.
that need to eat.
That's
okay?
fine.
That's under, because I think in the Bible it says something about one of your main things in life is to keep yourself alive. You know, so
But no, I would not.
I can understand that, but
I'm not going to go kill any
But-
people.
To kill an animal so that you can put its head
No,
on the wall,
I
or
just,
put its head, or to get the ivory so that some schmuck with
no.
money can
I'm
buy
against
something that
that.
most people can't.
I'm against
Okay,
that.
that kind of stuff
no.
needs to go away.
I would love to see that go away.
I mean, they got weapons now that, you can shoot a line from a distance and it's recorded, and you never actually shoot the line. That should be more than enough.
It-
All right.
No, I agree. I agree with you on that. We're less than a minute.
what was
So
I gonna say?
there we go. And we're done.
I want this show to go 2 hours.
Talk to Drew.
Next week, we're going to have a guest, alias The Voice.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everybody. I hope I didn't bum you out.